I'm back. I'm back from my travels. I was away for 3 weeks. I've been all over the world. I've been to Japan. I've been to Europe. I have been to America. I've been to New York and Miami specifically. And so, I thought and as you will know by now, I did some content with Destiny. I extended my stay out there so I could go and do a couple of podcasts with Destiny. They've been posted on the Rich Cord, and I've tweeted about them. So yeah, what else? You go check them out. It was actually good to catch up with Stephen. I think we're going to do more content together now that I'm ready for it. So look, what was I doing? Right, we'll start with, I think I'm a weeb now. I think that's it. I think I'm going to become a weeb because I went to Japan and I just had the best fucking time. I don't think I've ever been in a country sort of so welcoming and so cool, and I barely scratched the surface. Japan was amazing. First of all, regular listeners will know like why I was going to Japan, but we'll just talk about it. This is just a little intro part for the stream I always do, where we do housekeeping and we talk, and then we're going to get into the news and all the other stuff that you all expect from a Richard Lewis stream. But basically, Maria, when she was alive, she always really wanted to go to Japan. That was kind of her end strategy. When she was done with esports, she wanted to live out there eventually, and she was learning the language, and she could read it. She couldn't write it. Writing and talking was different, but she had a very good grasp of the language. And so anyway, after she passed away, I was trying to think about what because I had to handle all the funeral arrangements and everything. I was like, how am I going to handle? Where do we scatter the ashes? She was cremated. I tried to think about where would be good, and it was like, well, she didn't like where she grew up. She was from Maine. She didn't like Maine very much. It would have been a travesty if she was left in Maine permanently. She really didn't like Vegas all that much, even though we lived there together. Maybe Atlanta. And we were going over it all. And I just said, like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, let's go to Japan. Like, she always wanted to go to Japan. I've got some money. I'll pay. Let's go scatter ashes in Japan. I know specifically where we should go and do it, because she was obviously very into Japan as a country and wanted to live there. She knew quite a lot about it. So I ran it by her family. Me and her family we've kept in touch obviously since she passed, particularly her father and brother. And I floated the idea to them because obviously, look, it's a big ask for a family to kind of let go of any particular remnant of a family member that's passed away. So, I didn't know how comfortable they were going to be with it. So after I ran it by them, they said, that's like a great gesture. They were like, really into the idea. And then the pandemic happened. I was like, you couldn't go into Japan. Japan was in total tourist lockdown. You couldn't get in. And so that was the case for about 18 months after the pandemic sort of started. It was 18 months to 2 years. Basically, as long as COVID was kind of out there, which it just is now, and everyone's just getting on with it. But it was impossible to get into Japan. You had to have a business reason to be there or a familial reason. If you were just going for tourism, you couldn't go. And then when they initially reopened, you could go as a tourist, but only if you agreed to go with guides, local guides. And they were doing so none of this was going to work for what we wanted to do. Then somewhere in that, her brother basically said, listen, I'll come too, and I've got a good job, I've saved up some money, so let's just plan it. And so obviously I've been planning it ever since she passed at the end of 2019, and it just never seemed viable we were going to do it. So anyway, finally, boom, we've got the money, we've got the time, we had a gap in the schedule. So me and her brother Ryan, we went and did it. And so anyway, we went out. I won't obviously say where we scattered our ashes because people are weird on the internet or whatever. But there was like a specific lake that she'd always wanted to go and see, and it was in Hokkaido, which is like the big island above Japan, so above mainland Japan where Tokyo is and all that stuff. And so I said, like, I think I'll just we'll just go there. I think we'll just make it happen. And I didn't plan any of it. I just sort of said, I think if we just go, it'll just end up happening. It's just the right thing to do, and it'll be good. Jesus is going to take the wheel metaphorically. I haven't got religion or anything. We'll just go do it. So we did. We just went to Japan with no planning, and we flew out to a place called Kashiro, which is like a fishing village in Hokkaido. And we realized we were still going to have to drive fucking for hours to get to the specific lake. So, just to put this in context, this is how cool the Japanese people were. So, obviously, not a lot of native English speakers in Japan, in case you weren't aware. They have a tendency to speak Japanese. And so I said, I think I'll just pay for a taxi. They'll just drive us. And so we jumped into a cab, and the guy didn't speak any English. And we explained where we wanted to go, and he was like, he's like looking at us like, that's really fucking far away. And I was like, no, but don't worry, I've got the money. And he was like trying to say something, and he couldn't. So he drove to a taxi rank where obviously he worked, and he managed to get the one guy there who spoke some English. And the guy came out and said, oh, if you go up there, it's like outside of tourist season, so you might have a hard time getting back. And I was like, it's fine, we'll just have to make do. We've got something we need to do, and we want to go do it. We were vague on the details because you don't need to get into that stuff. But anyway, so the guy said, all right, no problem, and we drove for hours across the Hokkaido countryside, which is beautiful. It's just rolling hills and fucking volcanoes probably, and farm arable land, and just it's just fucking gorgeous. Like, I've never seen anything like it. It was just a genuinely beautiful, unsullied country, sort of peppered and scattered with these like really like decadent looking farmhouses and stuff like that, in a lot of them in the traditional Japanese style. And so anyway, we were just on this fucking road trip across Hokkaido with the driver who didn't speak any a few words of English. And we get to where we're going, and the driver said, I stay, otherwise you won't be able to get back. And I said, oh yeah, keep the meter running, And the driver was like, no. It's very beautiful here, and I don't always get to come and see. And he just got out and went for a walk, and just waited for us to do this stuff. Like, just didn't charge us for the time, just like a really nice, generous guy, like out of nowhere. And this kind of generosity was just everywhere in Japan. So he went and stretched his legs, and we hiked up this mountain, and we scattered our ashes up there. And then, true to his word, we got back into the taxi, and he was just like, weather wasn't that nice, was it? Not a great day. It was a bit overcast. And got in, and then just proceeded to drive us all the way back. And something insane happened shortly after we scattered our ashes. I'm not like spiritual, I'm not religious, I don't believe in God. I think the universe is an insane, chaotic nightmare to even try and process. But something happened after it, and it was impossible. The level of coincidence on it is insane, and I'm not saying it isn't, but it was, because obviously it is, but it would challenge the strongest of atheist beliefs. It was so impossible, this series of events that happened, and I can't tell the story because it would sound ridiculous anyway. It's one of those things I'll probably tell it in 5 to 10 years, if I get sick or something. So anyway, I had this really nice memory attached to it, and it made me absolutely confident that it was the right thing to do. That it was, I joked with a brother. I said, fucking, this is the most retarded thing I've ever done in my life. Essentially, just flying out to Japan, then flying out to another part of Japan, then driving across rural Japan, and doing this, but it was 100% the right thing to do, and I felt a great sense of relief. Probably the prevailing emotion, because ultimately it's still a horrible outcome and miserable to think about. But this was the best of what was left to do, and I think it gave her family closure and some sense of closure and everything else. So it was good to I feel a lot better now. Like, it was the only thing I really had left to do. It was the thing I was worried about not being able to do, not being able to keep this final promise and all that stuff. It was really weighing heavy on me emotionally, and to get it done was great. And I will also add, because I didn't really know her brother very well, getting to know her brother on this trip was like really healthy and positive as well, because there was little flashes. They had like similar senses of humor, and it was like he would say these things, and it was kind of like that's fucking Maria would have made that joke, or whatever. So it was like really good. So anyway, then after that, I was like, well, we came all this way, we may as well try and enjoy what's left. And we went to Tokyo, we went all over in the last few days before we flew back to the States. And dude, I can't tell you, like, the warmth of the Japanese people. I've come away from it like, please, like, start having babies, Japan, please. Like, don't let the weebs dilute what you are, because this country, it was just so fucking positive, even though many of them didn't speak English at all, and I was ashamed and appalled at how little Japanese I actually spoke in reality. They would always try and bridge the gap, and you would get there with this kind of clumsy, body language and facial language and hand gestures. You would always get there in the end. Nothing but positive experiences everywhere. Like, there wasn't a single bad time. One night we went to a place called the Golden Guy, which is in Shibuya, I think, and it's quite a well-known area. It's like 3 streets, and all of these bars you go into are like 8 to 10 seated bars, and you go in there, and each bar has like a theme, right? Like, and so we went in a one bar. It was called Slow Hand. Obviously, that's Eric Clapton's name. And the guy behind the bar was a massive Eric Clapton fan. And we walked in, and we were the only people in the bar. And again, he didn't speak any English. But what he could do was any Eric Clapton or any blues song, he not only knew it if you said it to him, but he knew where to find it on his DVD collection. And he had a DVD player hooked up to a monitor behind the bar, and you could name any blues song whatsoever, and he would just know which DVD to grab, put it on, and play it. And we were sort of talking about, the blues and music. And he had a ukulele, and he could play the blues on a ukulele, which is insanely hard. And we were basically doing, we said to him, like, oh, come and have a drink with us, And he was going, I'm at work, I better not. And we're like, fuck off, come on, have some sake. We ended up drinking sake with him for hours. Went into another bar where there was some chain-smoking guy. Smoking indoors there, by the way. And I'm not a smoker. And I've missed smoking I've missed the feel of a smoky bar, like, I've missed it. And so anyway, there was a chain smoking owner who it was a whiskey only bar, but we wanted beers as well. And we asked if he had any, and he took some out of his own fridge. He took bottles of beer out of his own fridge, and he was just opening them for us, and was sharing his cigarettes and just chatting away. In broken, mostly Japanese. It wasn't even broken English. I noticed behind the bar he had like a shrine, and it was like a family bar, and he had like a picture of his father and his wife, and I think his brother, and they'd all died. And every day he comes in and he topped up a shot of whiskey for them at this little shrine with some incense and stuff. And we were drinking with him nonstop. He even got out, because we said we'd had some ramen. We had the best ramen I've ever had in my life in Golden Guy, in this little 8-seater ramen bar with probably you know, if you're a Westerner, you might be a bit squeamish about some of the health and safety standards. But you know me, I don't give a fuck about any of that. And yeah, it was fucking the best ramen I've ever tasted. They make it out of pork and fish, which just shouldn't even work. And they put whole little tiny white bait in, and it was just fucking unreal. Like, it was just the best fucking ramen I've ever fucking had in my life. Anyway, we just eaten there, and when we were like drinking, the guy said, "Oh, if you're hungry, I've got these," and he like pulled out out of the fridge, his own domestic fridge. He pulled out like a bowl full of like these miniature eels, the tiny eels, and I was like, "Oh no, Fulu." Trying to say I've eaten too. I didn't like the look of them. I wasn't brave enough for them. But anyone who came in the bar was having them and said they were delicious. And he was just giving out his own food, his own soup, and we got absolutely fucking trolleyed in there. There was a punk themed bar, which was they only served like limited amounts of drinks, but the menu was the music you played, and they had every fucking punk band you could think of, all different generations of punk. We ended up drinking with some guys from fucking Ohio, of all places, in there. And honestly, it was just really cool. The night ended because down the road from Golden Guy in Shibuya, there's like a red light district, which I was very surprised about how brazen their red light district was. It was actually comparable to De Wallen in Amsterdam, and so we wanted to, it was getting late. I just wanted to go back to the hotel. And obviously we're getting accosted by, I guess they're pimps, just for want of a better word. I'm saying, we've got girls, dancing girls, but we'd been told locally there's not a lot of dancing goes on. You just go and have sex, And I was like, definitely not doing that. So anyway, there was one of the madams of like, one of the dancing houses. She was slightly older. She was probably 50. She was like trying to pull us in, and I said no. But do you know what I'd really like? If I gave you like whatever it was, like equivalent to $20 or something, could you flag down a cab for me? Because I'm having a hard time getting a taxi. As a foreigner, I don't really know the gaijin. I don't really know the system. And this lady, I have never seen a lady so committed to getting somebody else a cab. She went out into the middle of this street, and if you know anything about Shibuya, it's fucking crazy with traffic everywhere. And she went out into the middle of the street and flagged me down a cab, and then opened the door for me and hugged me to get me into this cab and get me home. And I was just like, yeah, this is like, even the red light district is fucking wholesome in Japan. So I just had a fucking amazing time. There's like a ton of other stories there, and I can't wait to go back. Me and Sam, I messaged Sam when I got back, because Sam had obviously been out to Japan before me. And I was like, bro, like, it's fucking sick. And so Sam and I have said we're going to go back at the end of this year. So we're going to, and he said we might do an episode of, like, I Love It Here, live from Japan. So super positive experience. Just a wonderful country, Tokyo, a wonderful city, everything about it. We went to Senjuku Botanical Gardens. I've never seen anything like it. I'll probably post some of the pictures online, but I've got like a picture of me like under in full bloom cherry blossom tree in the middle of these botanical gardens. It's the most weeb shit ever. And because obviously, the significance of the journey was obviously just about Maria and honoring her memory. It was like on the way back, I was like, this is the type of t-shirt she would have worn and would absolutely cringe and hate the fact that my boomer ass was wearing something like this. So I bought it and thought it would just be sort of hilarious. So that's why, because it says on the t-shirt, what does it say? I think it's like 100% maiden or something. I don't even know what that means, but anyway, so there it is. I've embraced the weeb, my inner weeb, and the inner cringe. And yeah, just after that, I was in New York for the Knicks game, watching Philly get fucked, which was great. I posted a video of that. I went to one of the fan bars around the corner from Madison Square Garden, and I got shit faced with a bunch of New Yorkers. So yeah, and then went to Florida and did the Destiny stuff, which was also like really good and really positive. So I'm in a good place mentally. I got to hang out with some old friends and acquaintances all over the place, and definitely needed to be done. And now can just focus on content and making as much as possible between now and June. I think it's like, oh no, it'll be July actually. I'm going to be back on the road. I'm doing my annual tour of Europe with my friends in July-ish. So just putting it out there that, yeah, there will be another gap in content. But until now, daily content. We're all going to keep doing it. And no, I will not be going to Brazil.
I'll let you up.